Hello everybody, we're back at it again today, and today we're going to be looking at the gameplay UI and seeing if we can correct a few problems. So that's great. It looks like I just got notice too that one of my features that I've requested from Discord for a long time has been fixed. Before in Discord, the privilege to pin message and manage messages, so being able to like delete them and edit them and stuff, were tied together. So you couldn't give anybody access to pin unless you gave them access to delete, which were two very different ones. So I'm happy to hear that. But let us go see what's going on. So I had earlier made it so this will appear. Oh, it looks like I do have the stone, so I might not actually need to do this. It does say the right upgrade amount, so that task might already be done. The other thing that I wanted to do was notice how when you build a tower, it, oh, that's funny. The quarry is much bigger, so I'll have to play around with that too. The quarry might be a little bit too big, because it overlaps the stone 0 right there. But notice how, like, when you build towers, there's all this 0 stuff, so there's all this information that players like don't really need. That's confusing. It's like, will towers ever cost that? In fact, nothing ever costs stone. So I think I want to get rid of that and get rid of the gold, so it just shows the actual cost. I don't know if I want to put it up next to the quarry or if I want to put it under it. So you know, if I'm thinking about it, I either want it like right here. Let me see what you guys see when I'm doing this. Actually, I can't see. Or I could just like put it in the middle and then just wipe these two out. Putting it in the middle would probably be the simplest way, but let's take a look at like how I was doing it to see what our options are here. So it's probably called like WBP build something or other. Building cost, great. And we can see here what we do is it looks like we just do this. So I bet if I take a look here, I just go through and I find, yep, I go through the resource cost and I find the right amount, and then I just like apply the right text. So so I could just change that. Do I do anything on the event graph? Oh, that's really interesting. It's really interesting that this doesn't get called. Did I do something clever? Oh, okay, I see why I do it this way. That's kind of... Okay, this is a clever way to do this. I know why I'm doing this, but I didn't leave a comment, so let me leave a comment now. The reason I do it here on the BP preview building is because that's how we are aware of it. I might be able to like write get owner here, and then see if the owner, like the owner of this owner, which will be the preview building, is this player controller, and then I could have it in there. That might be a little bit cleaner. But it makes it like a little bit less movable around. This makes it a little bit more clear about how it moves around. So let me leave a comment here that says like, we don't want to show cost and text for buildings of other players, so we handle it outside the widget for simplicity. So you don't really have to think about the owner chain as much. And that's like what this is doing, right? And I think I'll copy this too. And can you copy comments? Yeah, you can. Okay. I'll put this note here too. So that way people know what's going on. So this is a gold vertical box. This is the stone vertical box. And this is the wood vertical box, right? And we want all of these to be variables now, because I got this idea in my head. Let's see if it works. Essentially what I'm thinking is like, notice how if I target the visibility, it does this. And this is like an easy way to see if collapse will get you the result that you want. And so I think I can just collapse anything that's 0 to make it even more interesting. And it'll be a little bit more so I have two options. One is I could do a branch here and then do it, but somebody could theoretically actually in the final resource cost like put 0 wood or something for some reason because they're being clever. So I could just see if this equals 0 and make sure that I'm not relying on anything here. And so, yeah, that should work wonders here. So what we're going to do is like, if it requires 0 of a resource, right? Then we're going to collapse it. Otherwise, we're going to do this part of it. You can double click anywhere like this to make another one. And so I can do something like this just to make it look a little bit cleaner. I don't really like how this looks, but we're gonna see if it works before I get too set visibility, right? And what we're gonna want is collapse because it takes up no space space in the layout, right? Hidden would make it stay, and so they kind of stay in their columns, which could be like an interesting look. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and collapse it, right? And let's see if this works. So if this works, then when I build a sawmill, it should only have stone and gold, and it does, right? So we get the look that we're expecting. So now that we know the code works, we can think about how do we want this to actually look. We're repeating the code like over and over again, and so that gives me like a hint that like a function here could be pretty good. But I'd have to like include so much information that I think that maybe this is a little bit easier for everybody to read. They are getting a lot of nodes here, which is something I don't particularly like to see. And then I think that this is the unhappy path, as it doesn't exist, so I think I want to switch these two. So I think I'll do something like this will be the true path because it's kind of the happy way for things to end up, and this is like the less happy way for things to end up. So we'll do this. It does do it does do the little the stream crossing, which is also against my style guide. So I think what'll happen here is we'll bump these farther to the left so we can just redo this. Oh, you can't like you can't use the control trick here. It doesn't look like it seems to like want you to, like, yeah, but it doesn't seem to allow it. So we'll just do this. And that lets us get rid of this. And that lets this look a little bit better. And I think this is a little bit more readable. This is wood. Okay, yeah, I could do like a little select statement here and like make it a function, but I think it's gonna just overcomplicate things more than necessary, but it would let me switch things faster. So, because really what we want is like, because now we'd like move all this over, and then we'd like kind of add this part in. Right, and that would need to be the stone, and this stuff is going to be in the way again. Oh, that's unfortunate that I can't just control Z. Right, so we'll do that. This is basically the same thing, and we're going to add this in, and this is going to be gold. This is going to be stone. This is going to be the stone vertical box. right? And this is going to go into the false side here. And this is going to be the gold vertical blocks. And that'll get us the result we want. So, because I guess the real inputs would be the name, the text box, and the vertical box that needs to be, and then everything else could be like kind of figured out via the function. And so I could create a function that has those inputs. And then I could like change it faster, but it's already done, so I'm not going to worry about it. Huh. I got results that I don't expect. Everything says 0. Did I not change it over to the right equals? I thought it does with it. Oh, yeah, I changed the thing, so these all need to go to either not equal to 0. And this is where, like, yeah, if I had taken the time to make a function, this would be a 1 node change, and it is now no longer a 1 node change. So 3 node change. Okay, it's pretty good. That looks great. The only problem now is that the quarry problem is far more obvious. So there are a few ways that I can do this. One way is I could bring the widget up. So the widget could go up, and then the 0 would come out of the quarry. The other option is to bring it the 0 more forward. Just a little bit more forward would have a pretty good effect. Or I could push the quarry static mesh back. So let's just go look at the quarry here. And actually, I want the quarry visuals. And like, where is its center at? Is it like nice and centered? Or is it? So the quarry looks like this in game, right? I could move potentially the quarry back. Wait a second. Okay, the quarry is pretty good on the ground. Yeah, the quarry is kind of like a little bit more like up than it probably should be. You can tell because the placement here isn't at 0. So we might be able to do that. We might be able to say like, this should never really like go off 0, right? And then that would like tell me like where the center actually is. And so then I could take this guy and just move it back ever so slightly. And notice how it's like kind of jumping a lot. If you uncheck these things right here, you can just like get like a nice smooth. So I can kind of like play with it. And then if I go top, I can make sure that I'm not really like stopping the breaking anything. And anything outside of this, like things would be able to be buildable on. Because we went to a grid, this doesn't actually even matter that much anymore. But it will help the feeling of like it being more centered as you're placing. And you can see here that like it started to help. Now it just needs to come forward like ever so slightly, the widget does. But I want the widgets to all kind of be the same. I suppose, you know, I could go into the quarry and, oh no, I can't because it's on the preview building. Should we scale this widget by 4? Does that actually matter? It does. Oh, interesting. Like, if I drew this at 2000, 2000, would that be the equivalent? No. Huh. Well, you learn something new every day. We'll scale it. I don't want to get into additional problems. And then, like, what we need is we need it to come forward a little bit, right? Wait, how is it at 0? Are these? Yeah, see, doesn't seem to be at, oh, this is the, look at how this is the Y. Oh, because it's rotated 90 degrees. That makes sense. Shit, what was it at? 160? It needs to come this way, so maybe we try just 170. We'll move it 10 more units forward and see if it looks ridiculous. Ooh, I actually like how it looks on the towers a little bit more now. 10 was like maybe halfway of where it needed to go, so we can try like 15 more. So you can say like plus 15 here to like move it up. There you go. And now it's fine. And it looks good there too. So that's like a ton cleaner. There's not as much data flying around that's like completely useless for the player. And as I build now, it's much more clear to me that the tower costs go up. So all in all, quite a good change. So we hit a point that's pretty good. I'm happy where I'm at. I didn't leave any poopies to clean up, so I can submit. Say reduced or removed 0 cost resources from building preview widget. Fixed some quarry collision and placement oddities. So that should be pretty good there. It is Sean. How's it go? Hi, Brooke. I figured it was. It's close to some of your other names, but it's spelled a little bit different. And Fun Show, if you're still around on YouTube, this is TransmuTowers. It's a game that we're making that should release this year on Steam. Okay, so I'm kind of happy where that landed. My upgrades were interesting, so now I think it's time to go on to the Discord feedback we generated. So you can see here. Here's kind of the list of things that when we played on Monday that we came up with that we wanted to do. So I can mark that off. That I'm gonna leave as a question for Alejandro tomorrow. If he doesn't meet with me tomorrow, like, I'm just gonna do it. There was one in here that I really wanted to fix. So this was a very important one, right? So I'm gonna exclamation mark it. Because that one basically ruins the ability to test. And this one too was like a big a big one. Though I'd love to gosh. I wonder what the easiest way for me to do this is. But I'd love to like get a recording of this because then they could make a good TikTok and just a fun thing. Essentially what happens is a billion of these blue rats spawn, you kill them, they all drop augments. You're already really strong by then and you get like a bajillion augments and you're just super OP. This one was also worrisome. It might just be because there's so many, but I think it could happen in game if somebody went and picked a bunch of augments up there too. So let's focus on these. I recently did this, so I kind of want to see if I can just knock that one out real quick. It's probably something that's like going to be really obvious. So when the augment selector starts up, I believe it oh, it's going to be on BP augment pickup because the widgets are only available on the clients, so I'm going to put it on the augment drop itself. So do once, go to the game state, show the augment screen. So this will happen on the server. And when it starts showing the augments, it's going to set the global time dilation. I don't think it multiplies it. Yeah, this is a set, so. And then it shows the augments. And yeah, I thought the other thing would happen where you'd still have augments on your screen, but it would. Do it. So, like, I don't know, you finalize your augment choice, and that just removes it from parent. So how do we actually... get the winning augment, and then I'm assuming this is where... Huh. Where do I set the time dilation back? Not in the place I would expect it. When new augment decided is called. That's weird that there's 3. That could be. The fact that this says receive augment choice and it's not a networked event makes me think I did not do something right. But the fact that this also gets called in 2 places. So this should definitely be replicated, because if somebody joins the game late, they need to know what augments have got picked. So that's a mistake. Okay, so this never gets called. Let's make sure that, like, it doesn't. So, yeah, so that's good. So these kind of big events, like, a lot of ways to fix the bugs is, like, make sure that it only gets called in one spot. So we increment the vote count. And if we're done voting, we multi that, we say it's decided, we add it, we add the augment to all buildings, and we set the global time dilation. So that should work. Oh. Okay, I see what the problem is now. So that should make things a little bit cleaner. The problem is that, like, if there's a current voting in progress, like, we don't want to do this, right? Because it'll start another vote, and that's getting us in, like, this weird state, right? And so we need to check before we do any of this if, like, if there's, like, an augment vote currently in place. So let's see here. I didn't write this code, so I'm getting more familiar with it. That's a big thing too, is, like, as you're working with other people and you're reading through it, like, just start straightening nodes up and checking them out to make it a little bit more clear what's going on. So somewhere in here I need to, like, figure out if there's, like, a way that we know that we're currently kind of, like, in a voting pattern, right? So that's how the widget gets decided. But since this is a multi-class, we're not, like, necessarily guaranteed. Like, on the clients that they'll be up to date. So, like, I do need to check over here. that this only happens on the server. So we can say like has authority, right? So only if it's a server do we really care about overlaps. We don't care about overlaps on the client. And then start showing augments. We generate augment choices, which I believe does this. So we clear it out. And then we get our potentials. And we roll. So maybe we could see. Maybe we could use this as like our indicator whether or not there's something, instead of creating a new Boolean. If there are currently selectable augments, then we would, and this isn't empty, this is good, and then what we could do is like when the voting finishes, we could clear it out. I don't think that this is an on rep. Yeah, this is an on rep, so we don't have to worry about it having additional side effects. Well, somebody could. Yeah, maybe we do just create like a, we're currently in augment selection mode. I don't like it, but we'll just do it. So we'll say currently voting. Make sure that this defaults to off, right? And then and then what we want to do is, one, we want to check the length of this, because there could be a case where like you get all the augments somehow through another bug. Shouldn't happen, but if this needs to be greater than 0 for the rest of the stuff to happen. And then if it is greater than 0, we will we're going to set that we're currently voting here. I could read the time dilation and like not let you start another one. That's like a real weird way though, because somebody wants to time dilate for anything else. We could get into badness, right? And we'll mark that we're currently voting, and then we'll multicast that we're showing augments, and stuff will kick off. And then we just need to say like here, we could set currently voting back. And now, I haven't done anything strange here. Okay. Seems to be fine in the normal case, so let's make a bunch of these. And make sure that I can't accidentally... And to be honest, we actually want them to be like really overlapping. So we want to like hit a bunch at once. Oh, look at that. Ooh, that was super strange. So I think there's like 4 there, but I only got 2 votes, it looks like. Yeah, there's definitely 4 there. And then I like destroy like 3. Huh. Now that is not what I would expect to happen. Did I do something silly here? Oh, well, it's like not even breaking, but I never even wrote the code here. So we can like get the augment here. And then we can like get currently voting. And if we're not currently voting, not Boolean, then we want to do that, right? We want to do this thing. So I have no idea how to repro that bug then. I thought it was picking up multiple ones at the same time, kind of like within the same frame. But it was not. So if we're not currently voting, then we're going to so what I should expect to happen is I'm now overlapping, yep. And I should get 4 of these. Oh, yeah, that's kind of neat. I'll have to walk off and then walk back on. That's actually probably nice in case for some reason there's some strategy in the game that you develop that like doesn't want you to do it. Okay, that's cool. You like don't automatically like pick it back up. I don't know if there's gonna be any way to like tailor it, but that's pretty good. And I did see some stuff being printed out there. Somebody augment child was invalid. Oh yeah, this is that bug that I never figured out about like why it wouldn't like bounce between stuff. So, but we fixed the other bug. So this should prevent multiple pickups of augments from getting you into a permanent time dilation state. But so that should be another fixed bug. So that's done. Ian here in 30 minutes. Is that Ian messaging me? No, that's Talon. Gosh. So I'd love to do these, but I'd love to get some recordings of it too for TikTok before. I could erase all waves. Give myself some extra resources and kind of show the bug off. This is a problem I've been wanting to solve because it's going to become a little bit more useful later to just be able to like jump to a wave with like a certain setting. But I don't have anything like that. But essentially what the problem is I think it's these rat thing elites are they're marked to drop augments. Yeah. So, but on this stage, like a bajillion of these elites spawn. So, So I kind of need to fix that. So like like hundreds of these guys spawn, you kill them, and you have infinite augments. The other one was this one. It initially spawns 8 and then keeps spawning 1. And apparently there's still the dog skull boss. So I think what happened is the person meant to replace the dog skull here with the Rat King boss. And this might have been me, because I was looking at the revision control history. Okay, it definitely wasn't me. So only that one line changed. So so it was back here, back in July, that we did this, but we haven't really been. Yeah, this is when the mistake was made. So we can fix that real easy. But the big problem is that I don't really know what the balance is intended to be. And how exactly we want to handle that now. Because initially we kind of had rat spawn and then you fought the Rat King, but we found that the Rat King was like a little bit too difficult for new players to grasp, because you needed to basically build 2 AoE towers and 1 single target tower, and then move the single target tower close to the Rat King to like beat him. And that was too challenging for new players. And so we wanted to give players more of like a more standard, just like DPS checkbox. So we moved another boss forward and moved the Rat King back. And that boss is supposed to be that boss is supposed to be the Portabella guy, but people keep using this boss raccoon, so I need to delete the boss raccoon so people keep adding it back into the game, because the raccoon is like our normal one. We could like make a raccoon elite, but I don't want it to have boss attacks and things like that, because really the boss for this stage is supposed to be the well, not the what is that boss called? The like elephant looking guy. What did we call him? The nice thing is not the Portabella Gator. Did we call him Shroomy? No, Shroomy is the mushroom guy. Tapir Longlegs. Okay, we just named it. Need to come up with a better name for him. But this guy, I think, might be the better first boss. Once you have these raccoons, they have mushrooms on their backs, and this guy comes and he just like throws mushrooms around. He's just big and just tanky. And so you like, so that would be I think a little bit better of a method. And I think that the first waves were pretty good. So however many he's like kind of spawning. Oh, he's just spawning rats. Because I'd like the kind of the base enemies to match the boss, I think, overall, because I think that's kind of interesting. And so like what I'm kind of thinking is like, maybe you have like raccoons with the little mushrooms on them, right? And then you like, then that like makes you fight the like tapir that has like the mushroom legs, right? And then sometimes you fight the rats, right? And then when you fight the rats, you then fight the Rat King, right? And this just will help players think about what's coming up. As they're like, oh, the rats are showing up. Like, I know that, the Rat King boss is going to come. You won't know the first time, right? And there's going to be no way to do that. But then, like, this is going to help you just remember. I think there's, like, kind of like the little dog skulls that are that. And then you're going to, like, fight the wolf, right? and you're gonna be like, oh, the dogs are coming, like I know the wolf boss is coming, and I need to start preparing the correct towers, getting my towers in the right position for that. And this is gonna be very key, I think, in making the game interesting. So the big problem is like when we move the Rat King, we want to move the rats along with him, but like it's balanced so that that the rats kind of like provide an interesting challenge for the players. So like moving them up to the next wave, like we need to like spawn probably more and probably change how much health they have and things like that to like make sure that, you know, as the stage progresses, like the difficulty, like the number of HP and monsters is constantly going up. So it kind of like matches, you know, the player's ability to build like DPS and creates like moments of tension. And since we haven't really mapped that out very well yet, I think it's been a lot of feeling. Hi, lolly lol. Data assets. I have a class reference and a data asset that is being used in a blueprint. But do you know if it's possible to change variable values through another blueprint? What is a data? What do you mean by data asset? 1 second, let me see if... I haven't really used data assets a lot in the... this does not seem to suggest much interestingness. Let me look at this. So I haven't used data assets, so I might be telling you something that you already know, and sorry if I am. But the most common mistake for the problem you're describing is that you need to make sure that you you cast to the right blueprint class, because you can't access variables unless you've casted correctly. So if you have some reference to I don't know, anything in your game, like let's say I get the game state, right? Like I can't like set any of my like, I can't like get my augment component or anything like that because I need to first cast it to my my gameplay. And then once I have that, then I have access to like all variables and component, right? So I can like get augment. I can now get my augment components, right? And I could, you know, access any variables that are on the game state, right? I don't know what we have in there. I don't think we have any config variables. Oh yeah, we do. So we have some data in there. So if you're casting to the data asset and you still can't access or change them, then that might be a restriction of the data assets, but I'm not really sure. Why what you use data assets for. They're interesting because they're objects, so they're not actors, so they probably like transfer across levels, so maybe that's what they're used for. But yeah, I would think that that would work, and if it doesn't, then I'd probably ask ChatGPT and see if it has a good answer. Okay, back here to balancing. So balance-wise, we'll go check out our balance properties. So we can kind of look at the rat things here and kind of think about like what that means for people. Like raccoons have like a lot more health. Yeah, their base health is a 1,000. Oh, that's the. This is just wrong. The raccoon shouldn't have a marker icon. And if they do, they should have the right one. But maybe people are using it somewhere else. So let's make sure we just set it right. So if I want to move raccoons up, they were kind of more interesting because they were supposed to have like more HP than rats, and rats were supposed to kind of like flood you, which I think we can keep. I just need to make a decision on the order that we fight the enemies, so I don't have to do this again. Because our initial thinking was like keep it even more simple, and then like you kind of just fight the raccoon, and the raccoon boss would just be a bigger version of the raccoon, and then we'd only have to make 3 enemies per stage, and we could like half the number of enemies that we wanted to create. But then we got some additional help, and it became clear that we would easily be able to do 6 enemies, so we could have 3 enemies per stage and 3 unique bosses, and we thought that that would add a lot of value to the game. Yeah, try casting it. Casting your data asset that you get into the right class, and then if you can't access it, then I'm assuming, I would imagine a data asset, especially if it's pre-built, for performance reasons, my guess is that you're not supposed to change them. But I typically like to use data tables. Data tables or the actor itself to store those values. So I haven't had a reason yet to need data assets. Yeah, I think I've got to just take over balance. Alejandro's been busier lately, so I think I need to just not let this be a blocker for me and bring balance more to where I think it should be. And there's a few problems that I think that kind of make balance a lot more difficult. So one is that like towers are different costs. So you have to think about like using the cost to like also determine like how good a tower is, right? And so towers can't be easily balanced because like should a tower that's twice the cost be twice as powerful? Like it actually needs to be a little bit more powerful than twice as powerful because you'll be able to get it later in the game. And so it starts to make this like really complicated. And then on top of that, because we have an exponential growth curve for our for every time you build a tower to basically prevent strategies where you just like get a ton of resources and just fill the map full of towers. It also means that like building more expensive towers earlier is like highly advantageous because towers that are cost more will cost even more. I could like switch over to like a linear increase, and that would like remove that. But that would require a lot of balancing of resources too. And I feel like the number of towers that we're getting is like pretty interesting. So I think all I really want to do is like go to the building types and like and standardize everything. And one of the nice things is right now like this kind of stuff is like weird, right? Like making it 197 makes it so strange for users to like understand like even like what tier it is. So like maybe I can make like support towers cheaper to like encourage their building. But I could also just make them stronger. Yeah, most towers are 200. The ice tower is so OP, but I don't think increasing the cost like makes it less OP. So let's make sure we up the cost on that. I think it's actually not that crazy to just make every tower cost 200 wood, except for buff towers, which makes them cost less, which might help players also understand before they like get a new tower and like I'm gonna build like 6 of these, right? It could give a hint to players that like, hey, these towers are gonna like buff people, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set everything to 200, except for the towers that provide buffs. Oh yeah, we don't have anything with the portal yet. Okay, so Fixing some bugs on material icons for enemies. Making all towers, all damage towers cost 200 wood, and buff towers cost 100 wood. Let's see, what buff does the ice tower use? This is GE slow, which right now slows by 80%. That's insane. Even that 50% is... And it slows their attack speed by 50%. That isn't... Yeah, this is why the ice tower is so strong. My guess is people don't understand. Does it get only used by the ice tower? Oh. This is one bad reason to put this in a data table. Because I can see that it's here, but I can't see every tower that it might be connected to. Whereas if I put these on the towers, I would instantly see which towers use it. So the Navy SEAL's doing it. My guess is really what's happening here is somebody made the Navy SEAL and they're like, oh, I want to make it so towers that it hits do less, and so it did that. But BPC tower damage, directly referencing GE slow, is pretty insane too. Let me see why. Huh. I don't know why this might do that. I'm very shocked that it even appears, but yeah, how does that even appear in the reference viewer? What does that do? I heard that there was a way to figure this out in Unreal. Impossible to... Okay, yeah, so I think that... Yeah, it would appear here, but it just doesn't. This is easy because I found it, but... I really wonder why tower damage looks at... GE slow directly and why it doesn't appear in any list. Sometimes people can like accidentally. Oh, wow. So this is how, yeah. So we have these augments that you can select that like add things to all towers. And this is where it gets referenced. So if you pick the slow thing, like all your towers do an 80% slow and slow the attack speed of enemies by 50%. It's just like a completely like I thought it was it's a completely ridiculous augment. So I'll have to balance that out too. This is why I don't really like reusing these. So I think I need in the future. I just need to do a better job of naming them more specifically so people don't get into the habit of just doing this, because I think if somebody changed this, they wouldn't really expect to change like the slow on the ice tower and on the Navy SEAL and on the augment, right? Whereas if I had 3 GEs, one was like GE Navy SEAL, boss attack slow or something, right? GE ice tower slow, GE augment slow, then people would realize what they're changing, right? Luckily, we do limit the stat count, so that's nice. The other nice thing too about having individual ones is we could make sure that it doesn't stack with itself, but they stack with each other. So if you had like an ice tower slow and the augment slow, they would stack together, and you could like, if you specialize that way, you could specialize into really slowing the enemies down, and that would feel like a better choice than like you have an ice tower, you build this, and it really doesn't change anything because your ice tower is already slowing most of the enemies or something. So very interesting. And that kind of that explains the bottom one, which is like, why does a slow augment seem so ridiculous? So I really don't think we want slows to affect the attack speed of enemies. I think if we want to slow the attack speed of enemies, we should make that like a separate trait. And then you could like slow the attack speeds, which would essentially be like a buff to the health of your towers. So if enemies did get there, did get to your towers, they would just deal less damage. Okay, Ian is around. Oh, this is cool. In 5.6, they like make clear what multipliers are doing. That's so useful. This is one of my biggest complaints with the gameplay effect system, is that you had to like understand that all multiplies were additive before. But now you can get multiplying compounding, which is like, I think what most people would have expected. And really, like we want this to be multiply compounded, right? Because because then if it multiply additive, all these floats would get added. Like if you had a 0.2 movement speed multiplier or whatever, they would like get added together. And then they would multiply by 0.4 instead, and then so 2.2 slows would actually like make the guy move faster. So I can fix that now so I don't forget. These should both be compound multipliers. That is definitely how people expect slow to work. It correctly slows even when things might have speed boosts or other slows. Note, slow is the slow for Navy, Steel Boss, Ice Tower, and the Augment, which still needs to be fixed. Okay, so many bugs figured out. So that's pretty good work, but I'm going to go ahead and meet up with my friend Ian, who is an artist on the project, and give it, see what he's up to and see if things are going as well. So I'm going to hop off the stream, but thanks for coming today. I try to stream every day around 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. So if you ever just want to sit down, learn more about Unreal Engine, ask questions, I'm always here. I'm on a 4-day workday streak, so I'm gonna try to keep that up as much as possible, but I won't count weekends and scheduled vacation against it. So thanks for showing up, and I will see you all tomorrow.